Right. Hi, and welcome to this month's session of Coincidence Cafe. This is a monthly series sponsored by the Coincidence Project. I'm Juliet Trail. I'm the executive director and also vice president of the board of Coincidence Project. My co-hosts today are Katrin Windsor, who is our treasurer of the board, and Michelle Kempton, her longtime partner. They are both trainers and coaches who work with teams and individuals in leadership, and they're fabulous. And we are very lucky to have them with us today. We have a really fun program planned. And here with the Coincidence Project, this is a series that's free and open to the public. Anybody anywhere in the world can join us. And as Kat was beginning to say, we would love to know where you're calling in from today. And if that's different than where you normally live, like Michelle is in Sri Lanka, even though she normally lives in Spain, she could say, hi, I'm here calling in from Sri Lanka, although my home is in Spain. So feel free to put both those things if you'd like, if you're not in your normal location. And we'll kind of see where we're all coming from. We record these sessions so that we can post them on our YouTube channel. We have a new Coincidence Project YouTube channel. In a moment after I'm done talking, I'll post a link to that in the chat. We would love for all of you to sign up and click subscribe. Right next to subscribe, there's a very small bell icon, and that bell icon means whenever you log into YouTube, they'll make sure to put new events up in your feed so that you see them. So it's a wonderful way to stay tuned and see what's going on. We'll be adding all of the replays also to our website. I am in process with our web development team to build that capacity into our website. So we launched our website at the very start of this year, and we had a public launch party event in February. And then this Coincidence Cafe has actually been taking place monthly for more than 2 years, but we were in kind of a soft launch phase and invited people word of mouth initially, and now we're publicizing this widely. And I know there's some of you that are returning, and we love having regulars. There's also some of you who are new and haven't been here before, and we love having new folks too. So welcome. Any of you who are new to the day, like Murat?
That's me for the first time, yes.
Welcome. And Kay, and I don't have everybody up on the screen. I can only see a certain number. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is mute everybody. And so Katrin and Michelle, then you'll need to come off mute. And we'll have portions of today where everybody gets to speak. But here at the start, we don't want to have a lot of background noise because you may have animals, friends, pets, loved ones coming in the room, sirens, garbage trucks, chainsaws, all those things that happen as soon as your audio is important. If it can go wrong, sometimes it will, much to all of our amusement. So I'll also use this spotlight feature so that no matter how you have your screen set up, you're able to see the person who's speaking. I'll be turning it over in just a moment to my colleagues, Katrin and Michelle. And we are also doing a fundraiser right now. So we keep these events free and open to the public. In addition to our cafe series, we also have a monthly speaker series. Katrin and Michelle will be teaming up again in a couple of months to offer a talk that'll be a follow-up and maybe go deeper on some of the topics that we touch upon today and take on some new topics that are beyond our scope today. So the cafe has a little more of a focus on getting into breakout rooms where you can talk with a couple of colleagues. We usually go into breakout groups of about 3. Sometimes depending on odd numbers, we might have a few groups of 2 or groups of 4. And we invite you, if you tend to go long and speak a long time, try to step back a little bit and make space for people who maybe are a little more nervous or quiet or shy or introverted and need a little more space and time in order to actually enter in. Try to make sure in the breakout rooms that everybody's been given an opportunity to speak rather than just the one really loquacious person like myself, who's an extrovert and will speak easily. I have to make sure I don't speak too long. So just keep an eye on the time and try to divide it up and share it with your colleagues when you're in a breakout. We'll also have some time to debrief our breakout sessions. There are ways in this recording that you can stay private and not on the recording. So now that I'm on the spotlight, the only thing that someone watching on YouTube will see is me at this moment, and then I'll be adding Katrin and Michelle in just a sec here. When we do the debriefs, you can raise your hand and ask a question. and I'll put the spotlight on you. And so you would be able to be seen. You could turn your camera off and it would just have your name. You can even change your name and just put your first name or put your initials. You can have your camera off throughout if you like. We love to see your face, but it's completely optional, and it does not show up on the recording. The breakouts themselves are not recorded at all. I pause the recording entirely during breakouts, and what you share there is confidential, and it's just between you and your partners. When we come back for the debrief, try not to tell your partner's story. If you think your partner had a wonderful story, maybe say, you know, I love the story that my partner John Townley shared with me in the breakout just now. John, would you be willing to share something about that story with the group? Let someone else tell their story, in case there's something personal or vulnerable or private that maybe they don't want to share with the full group. Allow each of us to just speak for ourselves rather than filling in details that may be private for someone else. So in that way, hold what you hear in the breakout rooms to be private and confidential. You wouldn't give someone's name later if you're telling your spouse about the wonderful session. You wouldn't say, John Townley told me a story, and then fill in all of the details. Again, you'd want to keep things relatively private. You might say, I heard this amazing story about a coincidence involving a train and a book and a cat, and it was awesome. But you wouldn't give the person's name and all their identifying details. So just be a little bit deferential towards your colleagues in case they're sharing something that's a little bit private or personal to them. And we are doing a fundraiser so we can keep hosting these events open and free at no cost. So if it is possible for you and interesting to you to donate to the project, no gift is too small or too large. We'll take any size. And we're calling our fundraiser through the end of this month, The Power of Connection. And that is why we are here, to connect. So without any further ado, I turn it over to Katrin and Michelle to take us away. I will be adding spotlights on both of you and bringing you up on the floor.
Hello, hello. Michelle, you need to unmute yourself also. Okay.
Yeah. I was just thanking Juliet for the great intro and setting up a clear, safe space for us to work with.
Yeah, thank you. And I see so many faces that I've seen before. Welcome back to the Coincidence Cafe, and welcome newbies. Welcome to this amazing project, the Coincidence Project, which has just been so uplifting and positive and connecting, and for me also spiritually productive as a project. So it's really a pleasure to be here with my partner, Michelle Kempton.
So when she says partner, what we're talking about is we both work for the Coactive Training Institute, and we teach leadership and coaching all over the world. And one of the tools that we use and we see really is very transformative for our clients is visualization. And there's different ways to help clients manifest their goals and their visions for themselves. And we're going to talk a little bit about the mystery and the science behind how it works and maybe why it works.
Yes, it's always so interesting when we work with our clients who essentially hire, coaches, for example, to make a change in their lives and kind of up-level their lives. And what has been fascinating for us to observe as coaches is that when our clients have a clarity of what they want, it is amazing once they have clarity how like the universe aligns itself to just support our clients on this journey. And so that's kind of the topic today is different ways of manifesting. And as Michelle said, is it kind of mystery or science? And it's kind of
a combination, right? Or a combination of both.
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to explore and experiment with. And we want to, do you want to just dive in, Kat, or do you want to do like should we just dive in?
Yeah, let's just dive right in, because I think what the Coincidence Cafe is about is really storytelling. And so we want to really get people to hear stories because they're so delightful and surprising and really make you wonder and go, wow, there's so much more going on than we're consciously aware of. So we want to move to, I think, the storytelling as quickly as possible. So we're going to just set a little bit of context and And so, yeah, let's go into the mystery first of storytelling.
Let's start with the mystery.
Okay.
So Kat, do you want to tell a story that is mysterious about manifestation?
Well, yeah, I mean, I make up that every single person on this call, you all have manifested things, or people, or you have like manifested what you needed or what you wanted, and then it showed up in mysterious ways. So I'm just going to give you an example, and with the goal of kind of tapping you into your own stories of when that might have happened in your life. So, for example, I was an entrepreneur with one venture that flopped. And so we realized, my husband and I, we had small kids. Oh my gosh, I need to get a job. Like, we need to get jobs. So I had that very clear, just that clarity that I need a job. That same day, I went to a soccer game, and I sat next to a mom. And, it's like, oh, hi, my name is, and what do you do? And, so I said, my name is Katrin, and I'm looking for a sales manager job in software, because that's what I used to do before my business. And so she goes, oh, my husband is a CEO of a software company. He's looking for a sales manager. Let me do an introduction. So there was just like, within 2 weeks, I had a job offer, and a month later, I started my new job as a sales manager in a software company. So how that happened was a complete mystery to me. I think Juliet also has a story.
Yes, hi, thank you. So I think sometimes we specifically visualize in advance what we need, and sometimes what we need seems to find us and clarify. So this is a story about the latter. At the end of college, I had one extra fall semester to finish up everything I needed. So I decided to give back by becoming an orientation guide to incoming freshmen for that fall. We had additional activities as orientation guides that some of the freshmen were going to participate in. I had done a week-long whitewater rafting and ropes course with other freshmen right before I started my first term at my college, Guilford College in North Carolina in America. And I didn't want to do the same thing. So I went through the list, and it was 2 columns and they were alphabetical. I got to the very last choice under V. It said Vision Quest. And I thought, I don't know what that is, but it sounds great. And we were able to put a number 1, 2, 3 preference. So I put it as my number 1 preference. Out of all the orientation leaders, there were maybe 60 of us or so. I was the only one that selected the Vision Quest. So I was selected to go with a group of freshmen. It ended up being led in a Native American inspired tradition. My guide was trained by Lakota Sioux elders who had chosen to open up the Vision Quest tradition to all persons, not just persons of Native American background. And it was taking assessment of everything that's come before in your life and making a much more spiritually informed choice about who you felt like you were called to be in the world, and perhaps the method by which you wanted to become that person. And it gave me the tools I needed to realize that my grad school ambitions were wrong for me because they didn't quite fit who I was spiritually. And everything I thought I knew about my life and all the things I'd majored in college made sense in a way, but they didn't pay out. They didn't end up being where I needed to commit my time. So it's a much longer story where I ended up committing my time. But needless to say, the Vision Quest seemed to find me at the perfect moment to allow me to kind of re-engineer the remainder of my life. And I really took a different course because it was there to serve me at the perfect time.
Wow, that is so cool. It took me, Juliet, to the past, because I did a Vision Quest that also changed my life. So thank you for reminding me of that, the power of doing Vision Quest. So what we want to do is invite everyone to think of a similar story. It could be like Juliet's, where something came to you that you didn't even know you needed, and it changed the course of your life. Or like Katrin, where you really decided, I need this, or I want this, and a short time afterwards, it magically appeared. So either one of those would work. And we want to put you into breakouts of groups of 3. And we're going to give everyone about 4 minutes. So you're going to watch out for the little flag, the little message that comes into the room, or maybe it'll be an audio, because sometimes it's an audio that will tell you to switch to the next person. So we're actually going to control time for you so that everyone gets the same amount of time to share their story. If you can't think of a story, feel free to talk about any coincidence story, because we want everyone to be able to tell a story and everyone to have their 4 minutes of time. Anything else to say in terms of the setup, Katrin?
No, I mean, just be aware, like maybe when you meet the 2 other people in your group, you know, just be aware to kind of give everyone equal time, or just go into a discussion, whatever feels right. This is a cafe, it's meaning it's a little bit informal. So, so enjoy this. And we are so curious to hear what you're going to be sharing. When you come out, we'll do a little bit of a debrief. So enjoy meeting each other. We're all kindred spirits. There's no coincidence that we're all together in this space right now. So enjoy each other.
And it's always really cool to see who you end up in a room with. So that's an exciting surprise. All right.
Yeah, and I'll add that right now we have 52 of us on the call. It's the largest cafe crowd we've had. We love this. Yay. Many of the rooms have someone who's a cafe regular, and feel free to ask, oh, who's been here before and has a clue what we're doing right now? If you're a little lost and no one in your group understands the prompt to share a story of a time that something you needed or wanted happened, and maybe it showed up in an unexpected way. And it might be something you consciously knew you needed or wanted, or perhaps you realized through it arising how much you needed and wanted it. So we're asking you to share one of those stories, or something similar that's occurring to you, if that's not quite the prompt that you can answer in this moment. And to do so for either 3 minutes or 4 minutes, depending on how many are in your group. Right now we have enough for 3 in every group, so 4 minutes per person. And rely upon your cafe regular, for clarification if you need. And then you can raise your hand to ask for help. If you're in your group and you're like, I'm lost, just raise your hand to ask for help, and one of us will come and join your room. Hosts, we will all be in rooms, but I will still see, and I think you as co-hosts will see if anyone raises their hand for help. I know I will see, and I'll make sure that any requests for help are responded to, okay? And then we'll see, we have 12 minutes, and you'll get 1 extra minute to finish up that last speaker statement.
Great.
I couldn't even see who the speaker was, but somebody's got that feeling right now. And the poem they need has come to them. I don't know who it was, but that was a lovely line. We're glad you've got that feeling right now. We love to give people that feeling. Whatever that feeling is, we're glad you've got it. I got to scroll through all of our guests here to find our hosts and put our spotlights back on our hosts. So give me just a second. And I found Michelle. Michelle, do you want to kick us off in the debrief? I'm finding Kat. Oh, found you, Kat. Spotlight coming.
Yeah. So basically this space now, for those of you who are new to the cafe, is just to share. And of course, we can't hear everybody's voices because there's 53 people in the room, but we'd love to hear from some of you that would like to share something you inspired. It could be something that inspired you. It could be a coincidence that appeared between the 3 of you in your storytelling. Basically anything goes. But just think of bottom lining so that there's space in the next 8 or 10 minutes for many voices to be heard. So when I say bottom lining, that's something that Kat and I work with all the time. And that is getting to the essence of what you want to say with as few words as possible so that we can hear lots of different voices.
And also, I would love we have a visual that goes along with the story of my partner I was in the breakout room with, Justin Blue. He's going to share a visual, just kind of to also set a visual tone for manifesting. So Juliet, if you could, for a minute, spotlight Justin Blue, that would be awesome. Justin volunteered to share the story in the main breakout. And then anybody else who wants to share a story. So there's Justin. Hey, can you unmute yourself? Perfect, Justin.
Sure. So it was about this time last year, maybe a few months earlier, that I was kind of unsatisfied with my place in life with relationships. And I decided to have this idea if I did a drawing that might symbolize and represent that for me. So around that time, I started drawing this drawing that was just kind of a surrendered state. It's still a work in progress yet, but this was kind of a placeholder for me to see if we're going to look at each other eye to eye, this might be what it looks like. So using my tradition of kind of translating and creating through art, this was a very tangible experience that happened because like 6 months later, somebody who looked exactly like that was looking me eye to eye in the exact same way. And now we're going to be this power couple that changes the art history of the world forever. So it's a really crazy story. And that being so saturated in synchronicity, like ever since on top, it's been 6 months of one story after another of things that are bringing us to this point of communicating our hearts and celebrating all life, you know. So thank you.
Ooh, thank you for sharing, Justin. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So anyone else want to share their story or something that they discovered by listening to the two people in their Zoom room breakout? Or something that Justin just inspired you to share? Yeah, I see Greg's hand.
Yeah, very quickly. I was on a 60-day bus pass traveling from library to library in California. One of the things I did was I went to Haight-Ashbury, which is a synchronicity center, according to Verney. Anyway, I was looking for a poem by the California Poet Laureate at that time, and I wanted it to be the poem that would be thematic for me, that would really touch my soul. So I was going to the various libraries in California to look for poems by him, and I was going through books and none of them really grabbing me. And then I was subscribed to a blog by a woman in Vermont. And during the week, when I was specifically looking for the poem by Al Young, she sent me my poem. And the line was, I got that feeling right now, that can't hold me down feeling. And I'd been dreaming about her.
Wow.
And I'd never met her. It was incredible. So I asked her, how'd she get it? It was nothing to do with the poet. She had it in an anthology book in a house she was sitting in that wasn't even her house. And she just flipped through it and it came to that page. I'm like, wow, thanks for that poem. I'll never forget this.
Mm.
Incredible.
Thank you for sharing, Greg.
And I love to hear the emotion in your voice as you tell the story.
Thank you.
Is that Liz coming up on the screen wanting to share? Liz, you need to come off mute.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Hi, I'm Liz from the UK. I was a bit inspired by Justin's story. So I thought I'd tell you about how I came to adopt my cat. So he's a foster fail. When I fostered him from 2 to 8 weeks with his sister and his mum from the RSPCA here in the UK, he was the one who crawled up the bed or the chair every day, sat on my lap and would look up at me. And I thought, oh, I think he's bonding with me. Anyway, I knew they'd have to go back to the RSPCA centre, and at 8 weeks they did. And I thought, I was in agony with myself. Do I adopt him, or is this right for me? Because obviously having a pet limits your freedom. So I wanted it to be the right decision. Anyway, one day, during this time, I was driving around, I'm in Brighton in the UK. I'm saying to myself, I need a sign, what's the right thing to do? I had the cat basket and the application form in my car as well. Anyway, I drove into this place that does a lot of recycled stuff, and they have a free shop. So I get out the car, I'm walking past the free shop and I'm thinking, I need a sign. So I look at the free shop and front center, there's a book called Solomon's Kitten. I thought, okay, maybe that's a sign. I went in the recycled center. I looked around, I thought, okay, there was nothing I wanted to buy in there. So I came back out and on the way out, I thought I could do a bigger sign, a clearer sign. So I looked at the free shop again. I saw a video with a cat's face central. I saw another book on cat care without having to search. And then I'm standing there looking at this shelf with all the free stuff on, thinking, yeah, okay, that's 3 signs. And then the song on the radio changed. And it was Cool for Cats by Freeze. I got straight in the car. I drove to the RSPCA centre and I gave them the adoption application. I said, I want to have Arthur, and he's here now. I had to wait 2 weeks, but that's another story. So there you go.
That's fantastic, Liz. Is he there, like present with you, as in we could see him for a moment?
Oh, I'll go and have a look to see if he's grabbable. Right back.
Okay, great. Thank you for that story. Wonderful. Magical. All right. Anyone else
that
Sure,
hoped
hand
to
up.
manifest something or needed or wanted something, and out of like completely the blue in an unexpected way, it showed up? Any other short story someone would like to share? Let's see, Arthur.
He was just coming
Oh.
in by coincidence. This is him.
Look at him.
Lucky kitty, lucky
Oh.
lucky mom.
Lucky mummy.
Welcome,
Beautiful.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Liz.
sharing, Liz.
All right, we've got Anne.
Hi, everybody. So I was in a breakout room with Barb, and we made a connection that we both have an interest in Carl Jung. So I literally this morning I'm writing a book about my spiritual journey, and Carl Jung will be. I'm going to reference him obviously in one of my chapters. And I was sharing with Barb that I sort of needed to I asked her about whether or not he grounded his work more spiritual, because I know he talks a lot about the collective unconscious, and we talked a little bit about the universal mind. And she dropped 3 names for me of people that I can look at that actually, that absolutely will help me to write about that. So I just find that, of course, nothing's a coincidence, right? I mean, but that was meant to happen. We clearly were meant to meet.
Fantastic.
Thanks for sharing, Anne. So just when you need something, it shows up.
Even
Definitely.
And we've actually
Great.
there's been a lot of stories, right, Kat, where people have experienced coincidences here in the Coincidence Cafe in the breakouts.
Yeah.
They get with the perfect person.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to share their short story?
We've got 4 hands up. What about Mary Lynn?
Hi there. So there were 3 of us, obviously, in our breakout group, and we each had connections on, 2 of us on hiking and having synchronicity, episodes happening like crazy. So mine was real quick. I was hiking with my husband under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge in Fort Wadsworth, an old fort there. And I had a bad hip, and I had a tennis ball at home that I used to sit on and do, soothe my glute. And I was like, God, I wish I had a tennis ball. And I walked out 10 seconds later, and in this old fort was this old tennis ball just sitting there. And I'm like, oh my God. So, and the other 2 were visualizing partners and creating exactly the person that they want and putting that out, and that happened for them. So we had hiking connections, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yes, yay, tennis ball, just when you need it. It shows up. Awesome. Yes. Thanks for
Thank
sharing,
you.
Marilyn.
Thank you.
Diana.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
The sound is really bad quality sound.
Hear me now?
Give it a go.
Not great.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe let's move it to later until we figure
Okay.
out your audio. I'm gonna remove the spotlight and we'll get back to you later. Who is next?
So how about we hear from,
Got Jane, then Amy, then Jackie, then Diana right now.
and then we'll move to the science part of this so that we have time, okay?
Couple more stories. Let's go.
Okay, so my story is, I'm not going to share the story that I did, but the story that when Dave and Sue were on my group, and he was talking about the significance of books on synchronicity, and I just pulled up Amelia Ian's Karas's book on synchronicity, Unlock Your Divine Destiny, which is how I got here. And then I remember right after we got off, I realized that they are family because my brother's name is David and his wife's name is Sue.
Oh. I know, like, you know, that's the effect that coincidence stories have. You just start laughing and it's just surprised and you just kind of go like, you just went like, I mean, that's the delight of our cafes and our community. It's just, yay. Thanks for sharing, Jane. That's awesome.
Yeah, go ahead and Juliet, bring up the person and you, if you're paying attention to the order so that we respect the order, that's great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy. I have like hundreds of stories, so I'm just trying to pick the one. I tend to manifest people, you know, to call me or people I need. And this one time I was at work and I really just needed somebody to help somebody else. And I was trying to rack my brain as to who, and I had this particular person, Barbara, who had retired, who volunteered now and then. I had no way to get in touch with her. No phone number or anything. And I was like, God, I really need her to help me. 5 minutes later, my pager goes off. Hi, Amy, it's Barbara. Do you need any help? And I was like, with her phone number. And I was like, okay, well, that was fast. But I did call her and I asked her, why did you call me? Because I was really curious. And she said she was walking past the hospital and something was nagging her and it was, you know, to call me. And I go, well, that was me 5 minutes ago. And so she did. She came and she helped the person that I needed her to help. But I would do that kind of thing all the time. I mean, anybody I need, they call me. Another girl needed help. She couldn't reach 3 people. She had questions. I walked from her office to the parking lot, ran into all the 3 people, got her answers. By the time I got to my car, I called her, gave her all the answers. And she's like, I've been trying for months. Like, you did it in 5 minutes. So it just kind of is part of my life.
Yes. And what's great is like, it's just like you have the awareness, the coincidence and synchronicity awareness, and all of us, like, let's keep raising that. And it just paying attention and helping others pay attention. So encouraging to share your stories. So thanks for sharing, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, so let's hear from a couple more people, right?
We got Jackie.
Hi. So different story than what I shared in the group, but this came to me as you all were sharing. This was a story of instant manifestation. So I sell products and I really like in private message, sending pictures and videos and letting people pick and having that personal experience. So one evening I was doing that back and forth with a woman, showing her stuff. She would pick something, show another thing. She would pick it, put her invoice together. She paid within 5 minutes. I was so excited. I was like, I told my boyfriend, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, universe, bring me all the Dianes. Send the Dianes. Send me all the Dianes. And that night I got another Diane, but her name was Bree. And we did the same thing. And I was like, hot dang, it worked.
It worked. Yes. You had very clear vision. Bring me all, you had very clear order for the universe, right? Hello, universe, bring me all the Dianes, and bang, the universe heard your order so clear, it was able to respond instantly. Yes. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, let's get to,
I think that was Diana coming back in.
okay, Diana, let's have your story and
Then we got Vidya.
and then we are going to move on to the other portion of this call. So Diana.
Yeah. So I am a criminal defense attorney in Houston, Texas. And I've been writing a book about being bipolar and a lawyer. I was writing a section in a chapter in my book about synchronicity when a man showed up at my door yesterday. He showed up in front of my house saying he loved my flowers. I said, I'm a little deaf, so can you come closer? He came closer. We talked about his life. He teaches deaf students. He's a teacher. We talk a little bit more about life. He tells me that he has written a suicide note to his 4 children the night before. I told him my brother killed himself with a gun 8 years ago. You cannot do that. I saved his life. We talked for 2 hours. And I believe that God brought him to me for me to help him.
Yes. Thank you. Wow, very moving, Diana. And synchronicities do save lives. And Bernie Beitman, our fearless founder of the Coincidence Project, who is also on this call and who writes regularly for Psychology Today, he actually wrote a whole article on do synchronicity save lives, and it's full of those kind of stories. Yours would fit right in there, Diana.
Wow.
And it's true. It's so
more intricate than that. He was in a mental health crisis. 2 days before that, as a lawyer, I had 4 mental health crises happen. And that's not normal for me. People picking up cases for mental health crisis moment. I was able to get 2 assaults on a peace officer cases dismissed in 10 minutes because they were in a mental health crisis. And these happened days before this meeting that happened yesterday.
interesting. It's like clusters.
Yeah.
And as the synchronicity fairy on our call pointed out, right before, Jackie said, I'm calling in all the Dianes. And then we got Diana coming in clear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie, because Diana was having trouble coming in clear, but we called in the Dianes, and then we get Diana coming in clear.
I love it.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Vidya had her hand up, but has taken her hand down. Since we're a little behind our schedule, why don't we move on to the science? And then if anybody has a comment, there'll be another debrief, full group conversation. You can raise your hand after the next breakout.
So thank you for that, Juliet. So some of these stories can be explained through what I'm going to share with you right now. And some of them will fall into the category of mystery. Okay. They will not align with what I'm going to explain right now. So is it okay if I share screen?
Go for it. Do I need to remove the spotlight? Let me remove my spotlight. Okay.
Let me move this little thing so I can go into.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So, so this may be, some of you may already know about this. But there's something called the reticular activating system. And for short, we're going to call it RAS. And it's this bundle of nerves at the end of your spinal column or spinal cord, and it goes about 2 inches up. And this is a system that acts as a filter because we can take in through our senses, eyes, nose, ears, skin, about 11 million bits of information per second, but the conscious mind can only take in about or process about 50. So how does the conscious mind decide what to let in and what to not let in? Because that's a lot of stuff that's not going through or getting in. And so when you visualize something, and the more vividly you visualize it, the better. It gets stored in your brain as something important and then acts to inform the reticular activation system to let that information through. So that's why, for example, when you're pregnant, suddenly you see all these pregnant women, or in a very loud room, you can't really hear anything, but if someone says your name, you can hear that. That's your reticular activation system at work. Or you're looking to buy a car and suddenly you see that make and the color you want everywhere you look. That's simply your reticular activation system at work. So I'll say a little bit more about this, because this is what we're working with, Kat and I, when it comes to coaching. We take people into their desired futures and we engage them in an activity where they live the future. We start with, what's your vision, but then we take them into describing it in detail as though they had reached it. And we ask them what's happening. We engage all of their senses, smells, sounds, sensations, and all of this gets stored in the brain. We engage the heart, the mind, the spirit. So there's resonance. And then when you do that work, there's an alignment, there's a strong resonance that starts then to inform, and the reticular activation system acts as a kind of heat-seeking missile and lets in the resources, the people, the situations, the opportunities that will help you get to where you want to go. There are a lot of famous people that use this in elite sports. It's been known since the 1970s, that if you visualize what you want to achieve in your event, in your sporting event, and actors and performers do it as well, then it's much easier to manifest it. And in fact, LeBron James talks about how he visualizes everything, not just his games, but his day. So he's visualized everything before it happens. And then finally, I want to talk about this team that I worked with. This was an Olympic team, the Spanish synchronized swim team. I got to work with them in 2011, right before the World Championships in Shanghai. Their competitors were only Russia and China, so they were the top of their game at this moment in Olympic history. And I took them out on the Olympic field and I had them all close their eyes. This was a month before going to Shanghai for the World Championships. And I had them experience and live the routine in their mind's eye, in their imagination, every detail. And then I had them get on imaginary podiums out there on the Olympic field and put imaginary gold medals around their necks, and then interviewed them on how they were feeling standing on the podium with a medal around their neck, and what did it take to get there. And they went on to win 7 medals in Shanghai in the World Championships. So this is visualization and the reticular activation system at work. So I'm going to go down one more, because this is the question we want to launch. This is a little bit different a question than the one that you answered before. And that is, have you ever created a mental movie, visualized exactly what you want, a goal, a situation in its ideal form, and then it turned out just like that? That's the question we have for you now.
Yeah, what I, just to build on this and also tying it back to earlier, like what Justin said, I mean, Justin was drawing that image of that relationship. So it was somatic. He was physically drawing it, and it would activate the visual part of his brain because it's visual, right? And then he was, I'm sure, feeling it as he was drawing it. So, and then a few months later, manifestation. So
right, or for example, Kat, the example of Mary Lynn and the tennis ball. Had she not said, I need a tennis ball, she probably would have never spotted that tennis ball. It would not have come in with 11 million bits of information and only 50 coming through. She wouldn't have seen the tennis ball. So that's the RAS at work.
And maybe also, when I forgot the name of the lady who shared Cat Mama about the cat story, it's like suddenly you would see all these, like the wish was very clear, and then but there was a question, but then suddenly started seeing all the cat's music and the cat signs and the cat ads. So it's like it's almost like that filter that we're describing here. It filters, it heightens our awareness of what we want.
And quite possibly, deep down inside, you knew you wanted that cat. So your RAS was supporting your deepest desire there, because had your intuition been, or your true desire to not have the cat, your RAS probably would have let in signs that you shouldn't have the cat, or not have any signs, not see any signs at all. So, yeah. And so you can see that some things, some of the stories that we shared earlier can be understood by understanding the neuroscience and the RAS, and some of them can't be explained at all. Some of them are just mysterious.
Yeah.
So are we ready to play with this one? To remember
So-
something that we've manifested exactly how we imagined it?
Yeah, and
So-
I would say if you've already told that story, and then there's another one on the tip of your brain and tongue, maybe, you know, share the next one if you've already shared that instant manifestation story with the full group or something. And if you're a little stumped and you're not sure what to share, maybe just share the first thing on your mind and chat about it with your partners. But again, do watch the time. We'll have the same amount of time, 12 minutes, and then 1 bonus minute to wrap up. And make sure I'll send a little broadcast after minute 4 and minute 8 so that you swap on to the next partner. Does that work for everyone?
Let's put the question in the chat. So
I'll do it as a broadcast after we get to our rooms, because actually the chat disappears once you go to breakouts. And it reappears once you go back to full group. Zoom's very idiosyncratic about the chat. My apologies. It's a Zoom thing. I'll broadcast the question out to everybody in just a moment.
Okay, great. Thank you, Juliet.
Yeah, I guess the simplest one. Burning.
Welcome back to the main Zoom room. And of course, we'd love to hear again some of your reflections, your stories, things that delighted you, surprised you. Let's hear some of the voices we haven't heard yet.
And you use your mouse to hover over the bottom of the screen. There's a whole menu bar in Zoom that pops up. And one of the choices is reactions. If you click on it, one of the options is raise your hand, along with putting up little emojis to say you like something or you're applauding someone. So you can use the raise hand function. Yeah, we got Bernie.
Yeah.
I'd say far out and groovy, ladies and gentlemen, on this one. Because I mean, I've been doing this imagining, I call them expectation videos stuff, but like the Coincidence Project is one of those. It came out of my thinking about it, and then Juliet and I imagining together. But the number of people who are talking about the same things is a good lesson for me to hear about all these stories of people doing some of the same thing. And Michelle, your reticular activating system and the gold medal things, but especially that list on your slides of the things you ask people to do. I have been trying to fight in psychotherapy to say we got to talk about the future, not about the past. And they don't want to do it. They want to be here and now or the past, but it's the future that calls us. And we need to imagine the future. And that list on that slide of yours, I would like to have a copy of, because it
Yeah, I'll
is,
send it to you. I can send you the collection of slides.
please do, because that.
Yeah, Michelle, why
psychotherapist-
don't you send it to me? I'll make it into a Google slideshow that's shareable, and then I can send it out to people that are registered for Coincidence Cafe. That way everybody here on the call would be able to access and look at it through Google Slides.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
what I hear you say also, Bernie, is what's, so you're a psychotherapist, right? MD, right? And Michelle and I, we are professional coaches, and we train coaches. And the difference, it's almost like you're almost talking to the difference between therapy, and there's an important place for therapy, and the difference between coaching also, which is, coaching is very much like what's here now and where are we going? Let's help you bridge the gap between now and the future. And so as coaches, we really live there with our clients and help move them forward in that way. And that's, I think, how the two professional tracks are very complementary, actually.
Well, so let me build on this, because there's a couple more things to say about visualization, in addition to the reticular activating system. And a couple of other benefits of visualizing is that when you imagine something, your mind doesn't distinguish between reality and imagination. So you can imagine, let's say you're afraid to speak in public, you can imagine yourself speaking in public successfully, and that actually will boost your confidence and lower your fears, because your mind will store over and over again successful events of public speaking as though they happened. So there's also research on, for example, somebody who has a paralyzed arm. They can imagine themselves over and over again moving their arm, and they've seen that more blood gets sent to that arm. So there's actually a physiological response to visualizing. And that's why athletes know that if they work out and train and they visualize, there's like, it actually physically gets them prepared, their body prepared for the event, and they're 15% more prepared than if they don't visualize. It'll never take the place of actually training and preparing for an event. You have to do that, but it's a plus. Another story that's really inspiring is about a political prisoner, Natan Sharansky, and in 19, gosh, I want to say like 76, he went into prison. He was, well, I won't go into why, but he was in confinement, solitary confinement for, I think, the better part of about 6 years. And to not go crazy, he played chess in his head. He played chess over and over again in his head to keep his sanity. He said he played like almost 12 hours a day, 365 days of the year. And he imagined himself playing against Gary, gosh, what's his name? Gary Kasparov, the world champion chess player. Kasparov. And I think it was in 1986. It just so happened that Gary visited where he was now out of prison, Natan Sharansky and Gary played, and Natan beat the world champion, chess champion. And when asked how he did it, he said, I've been playing this man and beating him in my mind for 6 years. Incredible story. Not only an incredible story of manifestation, but of resilience, of how this man used his brain to survive. Yeah.
We have Barbara, and then we're going to have Jenna, then Danielle, then Annie. I'll manage the spotlights. Barbara, you come off mute so we can hear you. It'll be at the bottom of your screen.
Left-hand side.
On the left-hand side at the bottom. Okay, we'll go to Jenna and then keep looking for it, Barbara. Let us know once you found it, okay?
There I go.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, we'll just bring Jenna up too. Okay, Barbara, then Jenna.
Okay, this is my first time being at the Coincidence Cafe, and I was kind of reticent to join. And I'm glad I did. The second group I was in, all three of us were born in Illinois and migrated westward. And the first group, I met Anne, who was writing a book on things I've read a lot about. So very happy to be here.
Fantastic. Welcome, Barbara. Thank you. Jenna.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is my first time here too. And I shared my visualization because it's a more recent one that has absolutely changed my life and even brought me here, in that I visualize. Well, I do this all the time. I'm a coach too, and I coach coaches and that kind of thing. Do lots of future self exercises, and it is everything. If you're not doing it, please do it, because it changes your life. But I this time started this new series, the Synchronicity Fairy series on TikTok, and was getting like 1,000, 2,000 people watching. And then I deliberately went in and did a meditation one night and felt into what it would be like, and saying the words that I've gone viral, and feeling what it's like to go viral and that kind of thing. And sure enough, the next day it just started happening and happening and happening. And then one of my videos now has almost 4 million views. And so it's kind of, I've been blowing up everywhere. And just like last week, I got interviewed for Teen Vogue. So people are getting, little, I was ready and I did it, and it's like blowing up like currently. And then I get even invited here, and yeah, Bernie, yeah, just everything. It's so fun.
That is
So
awesome.
yeah.
Yep,
Thank you
like
so much for
feeling to
sharing
be ready, visualizing being ready, and then suddenly,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great share. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle, you're next. I'm not able to add a spotlight for you with your video off. I don't know if you're in a space where you can actually have your video on for a moment.
Actually,
you can just speak.
Yeah, I can just speak right now. Sorry, I just like moved away from a comfortable place, so it would look weird. I'll spare you all. So all of my groups today have been totally synchronous, but I wanted to share on the topic that we were specifically bringing up for this chat. So, and it's about the quality of our visualizations, right? I think that there's a certain, like, after you start visualizing things and taking action to achieve those things, you recognize like the difference in your mind's eye between really manifesting and kind of daydreaming, because there's a distinct difference, right? So this story is about something that I daydreamed into manifesting. I thought to myself, like, this was like over 10 years ago. I was like, you know what? I want a caramel latte and I want it for free. Let's just see what happens there. And I just kind of thought about it very generally. And then the next day or the same day or something like that, I live in Manhattan. So this was on the train, on the subway underground, there was this iced flavored latte sitting on a bench that I saw, and I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. And I have to say, I did not drink it, but it was just so weird that it was like, oh, well, you said you wanted a caramel latte. Well, here you go. And that's kind of like, I didn't manifest the quality of what I wanted, right? So,
Right.
So it's not just about the thing, it is about, the feeling, the smells, the scent, the sensation when you get the thing, and all of those things for a quality manifestation. So thank you.
Yeah, you needed to ask for one you could actually drink.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe when, where we see the reticular activation system at work is like you had that vision of the latte and you then saw it, right? And maybe you wouldn't have seen it. Maybe that latte has been there every day, and that you walk by there and you just didn't notice it before.
Right. right?
Right. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
So I'm just aware of time. How much, Juliet, how much time do we have?
Let's take Annie, one more person, and then I think we're out of time.
Yeah, so formally we end at the half hour. We're at 27 minutes past the hour. We can stay on for maybe, I need to go pretty swiftly after the half hour this time. So we can maybe stay on for like 5 minutes or so past, but let's have Annie share, and then we'll kind of wrap up formally. And then if you haven't, you have a burning share to do, stay on with us for just a minute afterwards, and we'll add your comment. So Annie.
Okay, well, I had a vision for a screenplay a long time ago, and I realized that listening today, I've been thinking about doing storyboards to put it more in a visual way. With stick figures, I'm not very good at drawing, but to make storyboards and dialogue and make it much more real. So that's motivating me to do it today. Somehow I made it to be be here this morning. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for that idea, because that's actually a great idea. I mean, as coaches, that's something Kat and I could take away and send as homework to a client who's trying to manifest something, create a storyboard around it. It's a great idea.
The storyboards are a wonderful way to tell stories, for a screenplay, before you do the screenplay. That's one of the 101.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Annie. Let's all do storyboards. So I actually realized I have a hard stop, so I would love to go into kind of wrapping up and giving you guys some homework. And those who want to stay on, you can stay on a little bit longer in this space. But Michelle, let's go into some of the challenges we would love to throw you guys.
And actually, go ahead, Kat.
As homework between now and next Coincidence Cafe.
And I was just going to say, inspired by Annie, because she just brought up something that is concrete that she's going to do today. And that's what we wanted to do, is challenge everybody between now and the next Coincidence Cafe to visualize something, if you can, daily, like maybe when you're in bed and just before you go to sleep, in the morning, however it fits into your ritual, to spend a couple of minutes visualizing and in full color with all your senses, something you want to manifest, so that we can actually check in and ask about it in a month and see how many people actually manifested what they visualized. So that's a challenge going out to all of you that we can follow through and check in on in a month's time.
Yeah, a little bit every day. Put in the chat if you are willing to hop on that challenge bus. Just said, put your name. I mean, just say yes, I'm in, or challenge accepted. Justin, 100% great. And
they can be little. They don't have to be big. Who was it that was saying she wrote the book? Was it Playing Games with the Universe? Who wrote that book? It can be little things, like you're looking for a parking spot and you imagine it, over and over again before you actually manifest it. Whatever it is, we'd love for you to play with something big because we have a month, but just to play with anything at all would be great.
Thank you so much. And I just dropped in the chat a link for an evaluation form. We'd love to hear how you thought today's session went, and you can let us know overall, your thoughts about Cafe and topics you'd like to see. And you can always email us if you're interested in being co-host. We're always looking for new co-hosts. We like to get duos like Katrin and Michelle. Sometimes they've worked together for years, as this dynamic duo has done, and sometimes they've never met before. And I'm the standing co-host, so I'll meet with you ahead of time, several weeks before the program. We decide upon 1 or 2 topics of the day and what our breakout sessions will involve. So that's our process, and I welcome you to volunteer, and then I'll start lining up pairs. If you know who you might like to work with, you can make that request, or you can just say, I don't know who I might work with, but I'd be interested in helping with Cafe. And And that's wonderful. I think most of you actually already have my Gmail. You can always write to thecoincidenceproject@gmail.com. That is a private Gmail account, and Bernie Beitman and myself have access to that account. So Bernie and I will see if you write in to thecoincidenceproject@gmail.com. So please, please, please evaluate and give us feedback. We are so keen to know how Cafe is going and what else we might do to improve it. And we are doing our fundraising campaign. It's our very first one. Even if you have $5 to donate, we welcome it. We would love to have you contributing some financial support as we work to get all of the resources necessary to make this thing go. And volunteering, being active, contributors to our project will take many forms of value that are not always money. So no matter what form your contribution takes, we thank you. And we are so grateful for you and so grateful to be here and grateful for Bernie Beitman, who sat around for 20 years and envisioned this thing. And then he came to me and he was like, I'm envisioning it. I know it's going to exist, but I actually can't see any of the details. You seem like a detail person. Can you come on board and help me? And I was like, yeah, I can. So, so here we are, 3 years hence. He and I started collectively visualizing what this was going to be in May of 2020. And, now we've got almost 3,000 people on our email list, and we've been a public entity for 4 months. So we are still in our infancy as an organization, and there's plenty of room for growth and evolution and transformation and change. All of you will help us with that. So this is a collective thing. We are co-creating it to make the world a better place.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for engaging, for being present, for participating.
And I see one new person that didn't get a chance to talk yet. Maybe we'll take one comment from John before we wrap up today, and then we'll need to go.
I have to go. I'm so sorry. Thank you for everybody. See you at the next cafe.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, sure. It might be the other way around. That we tend to look at visualization as something that you do and that you make happen, and maybe that's the other way around. That what you're being is pulled into a future where these things are. And in fact, you thought of it because they were out there already, and they pulled you in. So you thought of it and it made it happen, but actually, it had already happened, and you were just pulled into one of several possible futures which are already there, but kind of like quantum, you actually put your finger on it, and one of them actually turns out to be the one you're in and not somebody else or some other version of you. It's called retrocausation. You might look up, people who want to read about it more might check out Eric Wargo's Time Loops. Has some nice approaches to it, but I think a great deal of what we think synchronicity is actually retrocausation.
Thank you so much.
We also have a few dozen coincidence allies who are experts in the field. One of them is Guy Nelson Isaacs, and Sky's done a lot of work with us. He has a book called Living in Flow, and he is a quantum physicist, theoretician who writes about this. And this is also his philosophy. Thanks, John.
Love that.
Michelle, do you want to wrap us up?
Well, yeah, I'm just like, my mind is reeling with what he just shared. I think that it absolutely could be that. Thank you just again for participating, for bringing yourselves to this experience and sharing your stories. This has been, as always, it's a joy to come together and talk about these things, have a place where we can talk about these things. And thank you, Juliet, for your holding of this space and your leadership, which is phenomenal.
Thank you so much. It is our delight and pleasure. It's my personal delight and pleasure. Yes, little hearts for all of you. And please do stay in touch with us. Let us know your thoughts on the feedback evaluation form. Send us emails at thecoincidenceproject, written out at gmail.com. And we hope to see you here, same bat time, same bat channel, third Saturday of the month at this time zone. And eventually maybe we'll want to start a second one 12 hours hence that works better for people on the other side of the globe. We want to be able to involve our colleagues in Southeast Asia and that part of the world, Australia, New Zealand, this is a hard time for them. And Michelle's in Sri Lanka right now, so she can attest it's late for her. And if you have colleagues in those continents who might want to get involved, please feel free to ping them, make sure they're on our email list, and maybe we'll send out a call for some organizers on the other side of the globe to help us do this more than once per month. So we'll see. It's going to definitely be evolving over time. And thank you all for being here. You're welcome to come off mute and give a little farewell. We
So
hear your
just really
voices.
quick, I've got to
Oh,
go,
Michelle.
Juliet, but I will turn that into a PDF, the slides, and send them to you so you can share them with everyone. Okay.
Wonderful.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Thank you.
interesting.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Are we in the after talk session?
We are, and today's after talk session can be 3 minutes, and then I have to go. I'm in a hotel out of
Okay,
town.
I have to say it's very brief. Not all of us can. Visioning's been around for a long time. I myself have never been able to do it, and it's no coincidence that I ended up in a group with 2 other ladies who also cannot do it. And it's not, I think, because they don't know how or can't be instructed. It's because we get input in a different way through dreams. They were both strong dreamers, and that is my case also. And that may have something to do with the reticular activating system. I do not know. So I would like someone to look into that. I don't know where to look into it exactly, but that's just my input. And I'm ready now to sign off and wish you well, and you're in Washington or wherever you are.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. And I know sometimes as options in visualization activities, people in an active session are invited to just kind of feel into a felt sense of times when you've been successful and invite that bodily physical sensation. Some people do not get imagery and they don't ever do visual imagery. Others write stories. So there's a fiction option. They would just write a story about a future time of some sort of evolved world, so they step to a side and you journal or do free form writing. I'm just offering this for all those who are still on the call in case mental visualization falls flat and doesn't serve you. Dreaming is yet another beautiful path, and perhaps we invite the new dreams that need to come. So you can do just put pen to paper, automatic writing, see what happens. You can intentionally write a poem or a story, fictional or non-fictional in some way. You can do felt sense, bodily emotional senses or physical sensations of, like, I feel my stomach lifting when it's positive, I feel my head's elevating and opening up, something like that. So there's many options other than maybe what one set visualization doesn't work for everybody. But I really thank you for bringing that up, Cheryl. It's really important.
Okay, then farewell, goodbye.
It's good to see you. And Kirby, I think we'll do one last maybe comment from Kirby.
Yeah, what did John said? I mean,
the future might be pulling us in.
Yeah,
it's
he had a
already
name for
there.
it.
We just need to see it.
Yes.
Right. He had a name for it.
Retrocausation.
Yeah, retrocausation. That what's
All right,
in
cool.
the
I'm gonna look it up.
future reaches back and pulls us in and influences events in the past. I think even Jung was thinking about those along those lines sometimes, Bernie. Wasn't he wondering about this? You're still on mute, Bernie.
I don't see him.
He could do talk about precognition, but not that I could see talking about retrocausation.
Yeah, but since Jung was talking about a kind of a causal connective principle, but I don't know, maybe it land and start to get causal, but this is a causal that works backwards.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody else with any closing thoughts? And then I need to log off today. Oh, Jenna and Justin, did you want to stay on real quick that we
Definitely.
connect?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click stop on our record. Thank you, everybody.